This is Ariella Carmel, and I'm at Calcalist Tech on the Beach event. I'm joined by Yaron Carni, a founder of Maverick Ventures Israel. Hello, Yaron. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So, can you start?
Can't get better than sunset in Tel Aviv.
That's true. It's a very nice ambiance. So, can you start by telling us a bit about Maverick Ventures Israel?
So, Maverick Ventures Israel is a fund composed only of private individual investors. At the time, my partner Michel Abadi and myself decided that it makes sense to set up something new, which is a fund that's composed of private investors that could be helpful to the companies that we invest in. They are actively helpful to the companies, and also, because we have private investors, we're lucky to be able to donate 2% of the fund success to the most important organization in Israel, in our opinion, which is United Hatzalah, which is a volunteer network of first responders spread over the course of the entire country.
Amazing. Now, one of the companies that you've invested in is Semperis, which is the #1 ranked most promising startup in Israel on Calcalist list. Can you tell us a bit about Semperis and what led you to invest there?
So I think it's important to say that Semperis now is obviously one of the fastest growing companies out there in the world, by the way. But they had more difficult and more modest beginnings. And that's what I think is even more impressive. And I'm actually very impressed by Calcalist for having chosen them, because they are not in the cookie cutter of the types of backgrounds and so on that people tend to look for. And that's what makes them so amazing. The founders, Mickey, Guy, and Matan, were relentless. And I remember the days in their tiny office in Bnei Brak, and I remember the difficulties throughout the years, and until they moved to the States, and they were lucky enough to have Silverstein Properties take them in there and sort of, in a way, incubate and help them when they started in the States. And around 2018-19, they started to sort of get out of this J-curve, as my partner Michelle always says, and to show that what they're doing makes a lot of sense and is extremely important. And the fact of the matter is that they have endless clients now. They have, as far as I know, zero churn. Very happy clients, and what they're doing is actually incredibly important. And again, this isn't something that we knew at the time. What we did know is, honestly, I didn't understand entirely what they were doing, why it's so important. And I thought that if at the time they were only dealing with Active Directory, I thought that if it crashes, people will fix it. I didn't understand what a humongous pain it was until I actually got to speak a little bit with Noga Kapp and Moshe Lichtman, who ran R&D of Microsoft, and to better understand. They were, by the way, the first people to take a risk on them, and kudos to them.
Excellent. And can you speak to the other companies that you invest in? Are you interested in multiple industries and sectors?
We're very agnostic, so thanks for asking. We're very agnostic. We don't have any specific field that we invest in. We have really a wide array of companies. This is now our third fund that we're investing in through Maverick 3. Our latest investment was actually a company called Lucix that does lab-grown diamonds. That was founded by Benny Landau. Beforehand, we invested in a storage company, Store One. We invested in, I'm just throwing some random companies out there to show the diversity, in Octopi, in ClearML, in Tevel, which does, the guys here, I noticed the CFO Dov, that does robots, flying robots to pick fruit off the trees, apples and so on. Should look them up, Tevel.
Okay.
And
so really zeroing in on the AI revolution and opportunities.
Well, yes, that too. We have invested in a bunch of AI companies. 3D5, for instance, is one of our more interesting technologies. Diagnostic robotics, which you may know, by Kira Radinsky. And really, we have 40 companies, so it's hard for me to name them all, but all of them are really, in my opinion, impressive.
But quite a diversified portfolio.
Extremely diverse. I think we're probably one of the most diverse portfolios you'll see.
Gotcha.
We invest, everyone says this, but we really invest in people that we connect to, and we see that they have a history of excellence, and we believe that they will figure it out. And leadership.
Now, shifting gears a bit, can you speak a bit to how the current global economic downturn is impacting the industry, and how does that impact you as a fund in terms of deciding where to place your principal investments?
So the current economic climate I think I'm actually trying to look for the good always, and I think that what's happening with it long term is something good and needed and even blessed. I know it sounds strange, but I think that in the past few years, and this is very correlated to the Startup Nation Central Report that was sent out recently, companies raised too early in the past couple of years. They raised too early because they could. And that was a problem, and that's what caused another bubble in the market. And so now that the prices have gone down, in my opinion, many of the prices, by prices I mean valuations, they have not come down enough. They still need to come down. So coming down from an exaggerated peak to the mean it does not represent where the market should be, and I think there's still room for the market to go down.
How does that impact then how you invest, how you decide where to invest?
Because we now are we get better value. We aim for better valuations. We were less active when the valuations were crazy, and there are less active funds out there. We are active. We've done quite a few and are doing quite a few and are open for business. We just want to make sure the deal we get is fair for both us and, more importantly, for the entrepreneurs and their employees, so that their companies are sustainable long-term and succeed long-term.
And what about the fact that there are fewer and fewer Israeli startups emerging currently? It's a major issue.
See, I'm not sure that's the case. I think that there's less funding for early stage, for seed stage companies. There's less funding in general, by the way. But I do think that many entrepreneurs are still, when you have the bug, when you get the bug of being an entrepreneur, you can't stop. And technology always prevails. So many companies now are just bootstrapping again like they used to, like when I started out myself. And I think that's a good thing. So I'm not sure that there are less companies. I think that there are less seed investments.
Well, if there's less funding available, though, then there are less companies.
You're right, but they could still set up shop by self-funding. And the fact that there have been significant layoffs recently is also part of what drives them, because people have less job opportunities, technical people and otherwise. And so what do? They try to set up companies. They give their entrepreneurial journey a go. And there's always a time, and now is a great time. When times are tough, it's probably one of the best times. And obviously this is a cliche, but everyone knows this, that some of the absolute best companies in the world were founded in past downturns.
Right.
Well, so I'm very optimistic. I'm optimistic about Israel. I'm optimistic about the entrepreneurs of Israel. I think that they are amazing and they'll figure it out. And technology eats the world. At the end of the day, this is, by the way, on a macro level and in any culture, in any of the other markets as well. The fact that the markets now are tougher doesn't mean that this will last forever, because it won't. And technology has to prevail. It just makes the world better, and in every single field, and it makes it more efficient. So at the end of the day, there will always be a need for tech companies and startups, and I'm very optimistic. Not very, but optimistic.
Well, that's something. I hope that you're right and that the trend reverses itself according to everything that we're seeing. For now, that's all the time that we have, though.
My pleasure.
And thank you so much for speaking with us, Yaron.
My pleasure. Be well.
Thank you.